Hello, lovely ladies. I know it's very late on a Sunday night, but here I am because I have seen it 3 times today. Nicole needs to have a chat about gluten-free sourdough. My gluten-free sourdough workshop is coming up this month on the 20th. If I have the date wrong, I apologize. But mom brain is very heavy right now. Let's just talk about expectations and reality when it comes to number one, gluten-free sourdough, and whole grain gluten-free sourdough, which is what I choose to do because I would like what my family eats to be whole grain. Okay. That means I do not use typical flours like you will find in gluten-free sourdough recipes across the internet, like tapioca, cassava, or arrowroot. I don't do that for 2 reasons. Number one, because they are not on the Trim Healthy plan, which is the lifestyle plan, way of eating, whatever you want to call it, that my family follows and has followed for 8 years. It is working very well for our children. They are thriving nutritionally, and they're from ages 13 to 2 at the moment, and one growing. So here we go. And number two, those flours are the simple flours of the gluten-free world. And when you eat those things, they become sugar, like glucose in the body, like that. And what that does is it creates an issue, especially for somebody with autoimmune conditions like my children and myself and my husband, where our body becomes inflamed because it can't handle that amount of sugar. And the other reason is that gluten-free sourdough is its own thing. If you have ever done glutinous sourdough, when you enter the gluten-free sourdough world, it is going to rock your world in a good and a frustrating way, because it will not behave like glutinous sourdough, because gluten is glue. It's the scaffolding that holds that bread up and makes it fluffy. And that is the reason those simple gluten-free flours are used in baking, is because they help the bread rise to the occasion. But they don't do anything for you nutritionally, which is why when you go looking for gluten-free sourdough starters, you will not see people making sourdough starters out of tapioca, cassava, or arrowroot, because they're not nutritive enough for the sourdough. For this reason, all of my on-plan gluten-free sourdough recipes will not be loaf-style recipes, because the flours that I am using are too dense for the loaves to be pleasant. When they are cooked, they look amazing on the outside. I've made multiple in the last 2 years. But inside, they're a little bit like paste. And it doesn't matter if I cook it long enough for the inside to be perfect, the outside is like bark. So please walk into my gluten-free sourdough workshop if you are going to join me, and I wish that you would, knowing that I'm using nutritive flours. I am using whole grain flours, and all of my recipes are on plan, because I'm not willing to sacrifice structure for nutrition, because I think it's important to our healing journey.